Here we go again. More awesome deals online. Hello YouTube and welcome to my channel. Today is another exciting mailbag for me. Those of you that have been following my channel, you know I love Home Assistant. I also have a home-built automation system that I made with a Raspberry Pi. The two are running in parallel and they both work very well. Sadly, Home Assistant does not interface very well with the X10 controls. X10 controls were developed about 40 years ago and they use the power line to interface between the controller and the actual device. They also have an RF version and they work extremely well, but we have to tweak Home Assistant to make it work properly. X10 controls actually transmit data across the power line. The controllers and the transceivers wait for a zero crossing point where it's safe to send out a burst of data, I believe at 120 kilohertz. Because of this, the interface is not the fastest in the world. It may take a couple of seconds for the device to turn on, but it still is quite usable and reliable. There are three main controllers that I'm aware of. There's the Firecracker, which is a old school 9-pin serial interface. There is a CM19A, which is a USB wireless RF device, and a CM15A, which is both power line and RF device. That's the one that I'm looking for because it is the most reliable. I would avoid using the CM19A as it has intermittent problems, and I would also avoid the Firecracker because old school 9-pin serial is just not used very often. The CM15A is using a USB interface and can be easily connected to Raspberry Pis, Proxmox, however you want to connect it. Just received this package at the door. This package came from Quebec. I was dealing with a person on Kijiji, or it might have been Facebook, I'm not sure, Facebook Marketplace. But it was an online deal. The guy was trying to sell a bunch of equipment. I offered him some money and he agreed to ship it. So let's have a look. Box seems to be well packaged. Shakes just like a Christmas present, and I'm excited. Let's see what we got inside this one. Jackpot! X10 controls. You can buy these things dirt cheap now on eBay, Craigslist, Kijiji, Facebook Marketplace. These controls, in case you don't realize how they work, have a code set for the house, A through, I think it's H, and you've also got a code for the unit. So you set it up, let's say you wanted to use code H for your home automation, and this was the first one, it would be H1, and then you can control it on and off and brightness and all sorts of other things. These were originally sold by Radio Shack. This happens to be the remote wall switch. This would not be very good with some of the LED lights today unless it was dimmable. So we've got a whole variety of different wall switches for the lights. How many we got? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 of them. There are 2 of these little motion sensors. These are passive infrared motion sensors. The gentleman had the tape on there so it wouldn't see somebody on this side of the sensor. What this does is it notices your infrared signature. If there's a change, it will send a command over the RF to your controller so that you know what's going on. The batteries last quite a long time. These are using AAA batteries and they get tied into your home automation system. Unfortunately, X10 is relatively obsolete and it doesn't really work well with Home Assistant. But if you look at the video that I've linked below, I've solved that. I use Mochad as a server running on a separate server talking to Home Assistant, and it does all the controls using a CM15A interface. So we got 2 motion sensors, an appliance module. These are a, let's see if I can see what the number is. Not sure, but it's an appliance module. You plug in your appliance in there. There is no ground, so it has to be like a light. Again, you set your the unit and the house code. It does go from A to O from the looks of it. So we have another lamp module, so that's 2 of them, 3 of them, 4 of them, 5 of them, 6 of them. So you get 6 of the lamp modules. These are great because you can plug them into an existing receptacle and then plug your light into here. We have some appliance modules. They do have the ground, and the appliance modules are rated for a little bit more power. This one is rated at 15 amps. So it'd be good for things like turning on and off your coffee maker in the morning, your air compressor in the shop. We have 1, 2 of those. A universal module. These are used for turning switches on and off, turning on alarms, things of that nature. Anywhere where you need a relay contact, this will work very well. It also has a sonic sensor or sonic alarm on it. Excuse me. Next one's transceiver modules. 3 of these. These are incredible things if you have a problem with your X10 controls not working on different phases. You have 2 phases typically in a normal house in North America to give you 220 volts. So you may be on a different phase with your controller, so the signal may not travel across to the second phase. Thus you can put into a second phase outlet and it'll act like a repeater. 3 of those. They are awesome. Power flash interface. So this allows you to do different flashing of things. Remote control, wonderful. Save the best for last. And then we've got these really nice little wireless fobs. So you can have them on your keychain, you can have them in your car, turn them on and off. If you've got it set up so you can turn on your lights in the driveway, it's kind of handy to have that. And finally, the really cool part is the Active Home Pro. It uses 4 AAA batteries. This is a CM15A, and it is a 2-way computer interface. It uses RF as well as power line controls, and you can hook that up through Mochad and then have it talk to Home Assistant, so you've got a big package for very little money. Wonderful device. Uses USB, you plug it right into your server, and away you go. Excellent score. Here's one of the appliance modules I just received in the mail. You can see it's so 15 amp, 1/3 horsepower, 500 watt switch inside. It's a model number AM466. It has 3-prong plug in, and you plug it into a standard receptacle. It has a house code and a unit code. I'm going to try an example here. We're going to set it using a screwdriver. We're going to set it to a house code of A just to test it, and we're going to use 2. So this will now be referenced by A2 by the software. So when we send a home automation system command through to the Mochad server telling A2 to turn on, we should see this device come on. I'll find a light or something that we can plug into it just to show you how it's working. Okay, here is my test setup. I've got a high quality 60 watt equivalent 9.8 daylight dimmable LED bulb. The brand on that is TCP LED. Test fixture is a cheapo light with a line cord switch in it.
2-prong plug.
Now we have the appliance module plugged in. It's got a fairly large relay. It doesn't use electronics to turn things on and off. So here we go with an on. About 3 seconds. And an off. Same time. Here's a test of the light socket. Right now it's off. We're using A2. And it takes about 5 seconds for it to come on. Click it again. And the same kind of delay. So this shows that the test socket, which is right over here, is working properly. In case you haven't watched my previous video showing how to configure the X10, here's a quick demo. First of all, you want to go into configuration.yaml and you want to set up Mochad, or Mochad, however you want to pronounce it, for X10 using the USB interface. Notice we're using a TCP/IP of 1099, which is the Mochad server, and then the host is the server IP address. After you've got the configuration YAML file configured, then you want to go into your lights.yaml, and you want to create a light. In this case, what I did was create an RF type with an address of house A number 2, and I called it test socket. That defines these devices. Then you want to go into the next file, which is your user interface, and that is UI_lovelace.yaml. And in there you want to set up on your card or on your badges, in my case, and I put it in the basement, and there it is right there. So it's a badge showing the light laundry light, and I've also got a badge showing the light test socket. And then if we were to go home, under basement, there is the laundry light and there is our test socket. And if we go to the test socket and then press it on, that socket just comes on. Very straightforward. Well, for me, that was a very fun package to open up. I have all sorts of new gadgets to play with and experiment with X10 controls with Mochad. Thank you very much for watching. It would really help out the channel if you'd hit a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and maybe ring the bell. Thank you again.